Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about basic sweep picking. I have built up a lot of hours on the sweep picking since the lockdowns of the dreaded year 2020, and I've learned quite a bit about the ergonomics and the motion needed, and I'm just going to start with a two-string sweep, 2 and 3 string sweeps today. So I'm just going to play an A minor 2-string sweep. That's fret number 10 on the B and frets number 8 and 12 on the high E. I found the 2-string sweeps personally, it's horses for courses really. I think players will have different strengths and weaknesses, but I started around the 2-3 string sweeps because I found them a bit more difficult, but it's that tiny motion. It was very, very awkward in such a short amount of space, but it actually helped me out in the long game because it helped when you're stretching that to 6 strings. It actually helped out massively. It's like weight training when you're lifting a really heavy weight, then take the tiniest bit of weight off and it actually feels massive amounts lighter. So without further ado, here's this A minor arpeggio. I'm going to start on an upstroke for fret number 12 and then downstroke the B string and high E string when I go to frets 10 on the B and 8 on the high E. So it's just that. That's a good one to start with because it's just the basic motion. In terms of holding the plectrum, don't know if you can see here, but I'm going to get a different angle for this. So the angle you have the plectrum on will help out massively because it'll help it glide through the strings much, much easier. So how I hold the plectrum, just going to adjust the camera here. I have my plectrum resting on the first joint of my first finger here. I just rest it so that it's pointing to the side, as if I'm holding an invisible gun with my finger on the trigger. The pointed end of the plectrum is pointing away from, like, to the side now, and then I just add the tiniest bit of pressure. You don't want to clench the plectrum too much, so it's just the tiniest bit of pressure, just enough to hold it in place. Between your thumb and the first joint of your first finger, and that helps out. And I have it pointed at about a 45-degree angle, thereabouts. So when I turn my volume off here, for that downstroke, it'll help it glide through those strings much easier. And it's all in the wrist. So in terms of getting used to the technique itself, the trick is like everything else, just slow it right down. When I started practicing in the lockdowns, I think it was literally like 70 beats per minute. So I've got 70 beats per minute on my metronome right now, and it was literally like... You want your hands to sync up like as precisely as you can, because if one hand is out of sync with the other, it's going to sound absolutely horrible. You're gonna hear those duff strings, you're gonna hear those muted strings, and it's gonna sound horrible. So you want it to slow it right down, get used to that small area of motion that the picking hand is working in. Okay, so I'll take you through 2 more shapes to work with for this exercise. We've just done our minor, 10 on the B, 8 and 12 on the high E. A major triad, I'm going to play A major, that's 10 on the B as well, but it's 9, 12 on the high E. And I'll play a diminished triad on top of that, and that's going to be 11 on the B this time, and 9, 12 still on the high E. So I came up with this exercise when I was looking into these in the lockdowns. And this helps with the dexterity of the fretting hand. You want your hand to be as nimble, as dexterous, as flexible as it can be when you get into sweep picking. because it'll just make the process easier. If you're still looking for exercises to make it more nimble and more flexible, start here. Try this one. But if you're brand new to it, take it slow, have the metronome on. If you have to go slower, there's nothing wrong with that. Clean technique is better than no technique at all. I don't believe in these players that say I can play it fast, but I can't play it when I slow it down. It's because they're not practicing the technique when it's slowed down, and that can actually be detrimental in the long run. That's my 2 cents on the issue, so I'll move on. Okay, so I'll show you some 3-string sweeps as well. We'll take the same arpeggios, A minor, A major, and this diminished arpeggio. Guess that's like B flat diminished. And I'll show you this 3-string sweep. So the sweep will be slightly different, but you'll see that in a second. So I'm going to be 3-string sweep. It's going to be 12 on the high E, 10 on the B, 9 on the G, and that's all going to be upstrokes. So you're going to be gliding. The hand is going to be gliding upwards at the same angle. You're going to keep it at the same angle. And then it's going to be downstroke, 12 on the G, 10 on the B, 9 on the high E. And you're going to blend those two together. Downstrokes, down, 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 up, up, up. Same again, practice that to a metronome. Make sure you're playing in time with yourself and that the wrist is making the necessary motion. Okay, so that's the A minor 7. And if we do that with the major triad, we keep that 12 on the G, we end up with A dominant 7. Fret number 9 on the high E. And if we raise the root note to 11 on the B, but we keep the rest of the notes the same, we end up with this B flat diminished arpeggio. And again, it's the same reason. It's a nice, nimble, dexterous exercise for your fingers. Fundamental tip I want you to remember, if any, from this video is when it comes to sweep picking, the majority of your focus should go into the wrist movement. A little bit of elbow movement is normal. The more you practice, the less will come from the elbow, and that's good. You want it to come from the wrist as much as possible. So with these 2-string sweeps, it's mainly going to come from the wrist, and that's good. That's a good fundamental basis to have. Build your foundations of sweep picking with the 2-string per sweeps. In my opinion, that's just what I say. So if you see, there's very little movement. There's very little movement coming from the elbow there. That's what I want you to remember, if anything, from this video. Okay, so I think that's a good start. Practice that as much as you can. I would like to turn this into a series. If you have any questions regarding sweep picking or guitar overall, please do comment. Do like and share the video. Thank you very much for checking this video out. My name's Callum Carty. Have a very pleasant day.